family is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Purple Daily is live at the Minnesota State Fair. Right here on the Minnesota Rusco Score North podcast stage with our guy. Happy Thursday to all who celebrate Thor Nystrom.
Look at that lean, mean machine, Thor Nystrom.
Matthew Berry's FantasyLife.com. We've got the sports dad, Judd Zolgad, in the house here.
Judd.
By the way, your Judd on a stick here at the Minnesota State Fair, presented by Pronto Pups.
Let's hold those up, huh? Judd on a stick and a Pronto Pup.
8 Pronto Pup stands around. Can you find all 8 and enjoy a Pronto Pup with just mustard, Judd style?
And just leave one Judd on a stick at each one to confirm that you've been there.
I am Phil Mackey, and this is our mustached producer, Declan Goff. And, hey, we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. That's our motto on this show. And it's been 6 years since, so we used to do our daily radio show out here a long, long time ago. But we have not taken the Score North podcast out here every day, really ever. Or since, I think, 2019, we were out here a few times. But it's been a while, so thank you guys for showing up and for supporting the podcast. Before we get into anything, including we have not reacted yet to the Harrison Phillips trade last night. So we will talk about that, and we'll get Thor's opinions on football and life. Chip Scoggins will join later on here. We're going to be live for 2 hours. But let's start our journey at Quick Trip, Judd.
It's where we always do.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You know, training camp is done. And those were some long days for Sports Dad, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's one thing I'm going to miss. That's getting in the car and just going really a few blocks over to go to Quick Trip. Because guess what? They had everything I could possibly want. Great sandwiches, gasoline, everything. They are essentially a grocery store, but they're faster than that. Fantastic service. If you are in need of a place to stop, maybe for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a snack, make sure it's Quick Trip.
Wow. Look at that, dude. The reads in person are just as good as the reads from Judd's home office.
I've got some copy. I got some copy eventually to get into here, but I can't help myself because my experiences and yours at Quick Trip are so good.
Yeah. Thor, how's life, man?
It's going well. It's good to be here.
So the Vikings made a trade yesterday, and I'll throw it to Thor for your initial thoughts on this, but they traded Harrison Phillips, one of the heartbeat leadership centerpieces of this defense. He was, for the last 3 years, their best down lineman. Because he was there for the Ed Donatel season, right? And then 2 years under Brian Flores. And so he's been a centerpiece of this thing in the Kevin O'Connell era. The Vikings trade him to the Jets for a 2027 7th-round pick. The Vikings get back 2 6th-round picks, one in 2026, one in 2027. The Vikings are also picking up a chunk of his base salary this year, so they pay off part of that for the Jets. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is just to open up space for some of the younger defensive tackles, or is it like part one of more moves to come? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think this is going to end up being a 2-part transaction. A veteran wide receiver coming in. We'll see when they can consummate a trade for that. You've opened up space. You've opened up roughly $4 million of cap room to facilitate that. We'll get to that in a second. As far as the Harrison Phillips specific thing, yeah, he was the best down lineman they had for a couple years when the defensive line was really bad. Obviously, you fortified that this offseason with 2 big money free agent acquisitions, and they finally have depth there, right? They were going to have a really hard decision of what interior defensive lineman to cut off the roster. An NFL rosterable interior defensive lineman, they were going to have to cut one, and you don't make a trade like this. They should be able to keep all those guys that they want to keep now. And awesome news for Jalen Redmond, and then your boy Dawkins Ingram. Getting into the starting lineup, getting the first team reps, but him and Redmond obviously are going to see a whole lot more snaps now.
This is a harsh move because Harrison Phillips, as far as I know, was very popular with his teammates in the locker room
and in the community.
Yep. But that being said, this is a bottom line business decision I love.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's based partially on this. You just said it. Salary cap savings, not only partially for 2025, but this also now takes his 2026 contract off the books entirely.
Yeah.
He's 29. He's going to be 30 in January. So he's not an old player, but he's not young. But if you want to know how far the defensive line has come in the past couple of years, keep in mind, in Flores' first season, 2023, Harrison Phillips' second season here, Harrison Phillips played 74% of the snaps. This is a rotational position. That is incredible. And I think what the Vikings saw was far more importantly in this case than the fact that they brought in Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. I think the most important thing here is what you brought up, which is all of a sudden all these cheap young depth guys come up.
Yeah.
And you know what? Still, despite the trade, there is a case to be made that a guy like Taki Taimani should make the roster, and he probably won't. So I love this, and if part two is a wide receiver, all the better. But this is the type of decision that teams that want to win make.
And just one other point on this, because I saw some people grumbling about the compensation they got back. We have to return this to reality, an objective metric of what Harrison Phillips is now on the field. Yeah. Over the cap, they listed his current value for this coming season at slightly over $4 million. That fair market value. Right? The Vikings having paid off his salary down to $4 million, you get that savings. What that is saying is that doesn't have any worth on the field, right? Paying him $4 million this coming season, the Vikings still extract a 6th-round pick, and then they also get the pick swap the year after that. So you get essentially the Cam Akers trade, except you're on the right side of it, getting this 6th for the 7th, and then you get an additional 6th-round pick. I actually think it's good value. In particular, when you think about the interior defensive line room that we were just talking about, opening up a spot there, I think they got good value in the trade.
Nothing gets Thor Nystrom more tingly than getting like a 6th-round value draft pick for a fringe roster player.
Yep.
Or
more bullets.
Well, and in this particular case, to immediately now flip one of those for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And they have done...
Might be coming.
Phil, I think you brought this up on the show yesterday or 2 days ago. But they have done a marvelous job now. So I did the math last night. By my math, they have 9 expected draft picks for 2026. 3 of them are compensatory, so they're not established yet. Can't trade them. 6 tradable picks.
I think it's actually, if they get the 3 comp picks, don't they have 10 draft picks?
It might be. I was going through
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 7ths. I think. I know Thor probably has his own database.
I got to pull it.
Tracking 10 years out.
So the 6th-round pick was traded a year ago for Cam Akers. It was reacquired for Ingram, right? And then it was traded for Jordan Mason. But yeah, so 9 or 10 picks.
Okay. Yeah, and then the one that you get. Yeah. So yeah, they definitely have some capital to trade from. Just back to the actual Harrison Phillips part of this, because I do agree with what both you guys said, and Judd, you kind of nailed it with the nice guy but angle. This is one of those fairly common but savvy football moves that is a little devastating for fans, because you love Kyle Rudolph back in the day, or these players that get cut and they are ingrained in the fabric of the fan base. And Harrison Phillips has been that the last 3 years. He's a fan favorite. He's a favorite in that locker room. But he was a cut candidate either now or for sure in March. He was not going to be on the 2026 Vikings at age 30 with the young crop that they've got. If they also have Hargrave and Allen signed, they're older, but they've got those guys signed as better players through next season too. So, I mean, hell, this is why Judd's Camp Notes exists, and this is why you delegate to your
and you did,
to your Judd's Camp Notes interns like me.
Shout out Phil Mackey.
And we're over there texting during the second day of joint practice, and I'm watching the defense, and he gets to watch the J.J. McCarthy carve up the Patriots for 2 hours.
Because I got the Camp Notes, people.
And he's like, "What's going on the defensive side?" I'm like, "I don't know. I mean, the biggest thing is Tyrone Ingram-Dawkins, the 5th-round pick, is running with the first team, and Harrison Phillips has been bumped to the second team." Mm-hmm. And we were thinking, well, they're probably not going to cut Harrison Phillips before this season, right? So maybe they're just test driving Tyrone Ingram-Dawkins, but they like what they saw. Yep. Thor, you've been all over his RAS score, his relative athletic score, which is, I think, going back to 1987 or 88 is how far back we can track the measurables in the pre-draft process, your 40 time, your bench press reps, and all these things. And he was like in the 98th percentile of all defensive tackles athletically coming out of college. And the Vikings are putting him on the first team defense against the Patriots. All the tea leaves were lining up to, and I don't know, Harrison Phillips probably wasn't thrilled about, why am I working with the twos? Year 8 in the NFL, this doesn't make sense. So I'm sure mutually it made sense for them to part ways here.
Ingram-Dawkins, man, did he have his way with Garrett Bradbury on Saturday?
In that preseason game,
Well, who hasn't?
there's that
Yeah.
clip of him with one arm just shoving Garrett Bradbury back 5 yards into Drake May. It was glorious. Yeah.
Sure was, yeah, and it's exciting that he's going to get more of an opportunity. Phil mentioned 98th percentile size-adjusted athlete of all interior defensive linemen coming into the NFL since the mid-'80s. 6'5", 276 at the combine. 99th percentile vertical, 99th percentile broad jump, 97th percentile short shuttle, 96th percentile three-cone, and 95th percentile 40-yard dash. I mean, this guy is an absolutely amazing athlete, and he has length as well. We were just wondering, the tweener thing with him. What is he going to play in the NFL? You're at 6'5", 276 pounds. He was a little bit light for an interior guy, but obviously for a 3-4 defense, Brian Flores saw something in him to play one of those end positions, the 3-4 end spots. Very, very disruptive, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins.
He couldn't have been drafted by a better team because they play essentially positionless defense.
Yep.
And so, and I will say this, you see it in practice. Ingram Dawkins and Jonathan Harris, a guy that they signed a free agent veteran guy from Denver, from the Broncos. They are the two tallest defensive linemen at 6'5", and you might say, okay, that's 6'5", but guys are 6'3". That's true. But when you watch that length at work and how it disrupts quarterbacks, and what's one of the most important things in today's game? It is to not just sack the quarterback, not just pressure him, but literally arms up, quarterback can't see. Now we're talking about the Van Ginkster tip ball drill.
Wow.
So there is a whole thing here, and when you look at Ingram Dawkins, he actually physically profiles as a rush edge. He looks like a rush edge. So I think he has been drafted by the perfect team because Brian Flores does not say, well, you don't look like you're a 3-4 defensive lineman. Brian Flores says, I don't care. You look like a football player.
This is also, just to put a bow on the Harrison Phillips part, PFF did not really like him the last 2 years, too, for whatever that's worth. He was a below-average graded player. And even if that's wrong, and even if he is still better than that and has some juice in the tank, he's not a pass rusher.
No.
He's not. He's more of a run stopper. He's a good, solid, professional defensive tackle. But if the Vikings are looking for a little more juice and tapping into the upside of a freak athlete fifth-round pick here, in general in the NFL, you should be getting off the ride a year or two early instead of riding it over the cliff. And you should be tapping into the upside of great athletes who you can mold and coach. And Brian Flores has proven he can do that. And the Vikings have actually, even with this regime and with Spielman's regime, they've done a pretty good job of getting off the ride maybe a year early. And it's kind of shocking, oh my gosh, they let go of that player. But they've been right more often than they've been wrong.
Yeah, Harrison Phillips, he's a guy who's going to bring his lunch pail. He's an occupier. He more or less his whole career he's been, but especially now, that's what he is. Brian Flores at defense and the amount of havoc that they're going to wreak this year, I don't know that he was the best stylistic fit for Flores' defense anymore. Now you swap him out for Jalen Redmond, a guy who reliably gets penetration. He has all the way back to his college career. And then some of these other talented young kids we're talking about, you're giving them an opportunity. But yeah, this speaks to Flores' ethos. This trade does not get made unless Brian Flores signed off on it.
And that second wave of guys, too, I think has impressed them more than they expected. They changed the starters, and that was already going to impact Phillips' snap count. But I think what happened was training camp started, and it's like Redmond was a really pleasant surprise last year, but he's looked better than that this year.
Yeah.
Ingram Dawkins, hey, it's a fifth-round pick. Let's see. Well, as Phil saw, dude is wreaking havoc in backfields already. So I think this had a lot to do with the fact that they've got younger, cheaper players, and Phillips is, in retrospect now, my guess is they would not have signed him to an extension last September, which they did for 2 years, but there's nothing better than when a team makes a surprise trade and you're like, oh, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And this was one where I saw it, and at first I'm like, wow, whoa. And I'm like, oh, no, this actually makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. So, for the second potential shoe to drop here, I'm going to read you, I think a lot of you probably saw this clip going around on football social media, but for those who didn't, I'm just going to read you the quote here. The expressions of Kevin O'Connell make the quote even better, but Kay Adams was the second most famous media member next to the sports dad at the last Vikings Open training camp practice.
She's a quick tripper, too. She loves quick
And
trip.
she went to
Loves
Quick Trip,
Trip.
too. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, because she knows.
In Wisconsin, but that's okay.
That's
That's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah, Western
We're big.
Wisconsin.
That's
for
all
sure.
good.
Big in Wisconsin.
So Kay Adams was at Vikings training camp yesterday, and she sat down with, among other Vikings figures, Kevin O'Connell. And she started kind of poking at the wide receiver. What are you guys doing there with the injuries and whatnot? And Kevin kind of danced around it, and she said, you know what I want to see? And she has a great way of, like, Sean Payton, these football guys, and she just charms them and gets them to kind of open up. And she goes, you know what I want to see, Kevin? And she said, I probably shouldn't say this, but I want to see the Detroit Lakes kid come back to Minnesota. I think you should bring Adam Thielen back to Minnesota.
Great.
What do you think about that? And, of course, he can't answer directly because Adam Thielen is a Panther, and that would be tampering, and then you'd lose some of your draft picks or whatever.
Yep.
So she says, what do you think about that? And Kevin said, I love Adam Thielen. Talk about the 2022 year. You don't build something from day one the way these guys did and the players did in year one without players like Adam Thielen on the team. There's a reason why he's not only a Vikings favorite, the career he's had here, but how about the job he's done in Carolina with a bunch of young players? I guarantee you that the Panthers are in a good place right now because of all the work Adam Thielen put in. Huge fan of Adam Thielen. Yeah. So what do you think? I'll just ask it to the audience first. Do you want Adam Thielen back? I feel like that was a little bit of a mixed reaction.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want Adam Thielen back? Okay, all right. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Right.
Do you guys want Adam Thielen back? 6th-round pick.
Bring him home. Bring him home.
Bring him on.
Well, hold on, though. Hold on.
Bring him home. At the right price. Bring
Right,
him home.
price point. Exactly.
Yes.
No,
Okay,
you nailed
6th-round
it.
pick.
Price point.
So, yeah, sure. Done.
Yeah, if I can get it for a 6th-round pick, yeah.
Now, if you're the Panthers and you don't play a last year's playoff team until, I think, week 9,
Yeah.
and you were actually a very competitive team the last 2.5 months last year, you won some games. You were leading in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs and the Eagles. Bryce Young played better, and they've got some other young weapons there. But would you rather start the season with Thielen, see how it goes, get to the trade deadline, and make a move? I think the price is going to be higher for those reasons to get him.
Well, their leverage right now is outstanding. And by the way, there are
the Panthers' leverage.
Yes, and there are a bunch of teams right now. In fact, we're seeing trades that need wide receivers. So it feels to me like, yeah, you are. If you're the Vikings and you make that phone call, you're not dealing from a position of strength of, hey, just give us the kid and bring him home. So that's my whole thing. But I will say this: before opening night in Chicago, you need to add 1 or 2, because Addison's out. We know that Naylor is dealing with a significant hand issue, which he might be able to play, but I don't know how well he plays if he plays.
Yeah.
So you need to bring in 1 or 2. And the thing that also scares me, and I've been talking about this a lot on Judd's Camp Notes, I'm really scared about the punt return job. They aren't taking it seriously enough right now. You're playing in Soldier Field, whipping wind under the lights. I need somebody that can catch the damn football, because that's how you lose a football game. So
Thielen and Powell.
Well, I mean, Powell, I would have no problem with him catching balls. I'm just saying, like we got Miles Price yesterday, Silas Bolden, who I don't think he's going to make the roster, but he was being, they are concerned. And then to make things worse, Ty Felton went out about halfway through practice with some type of hand injury. It supposedly is not serious. But all of these things to me are signs from the football gods that you got to add 1 or 2. I'm not saying Pro Bowlers, but I am saying competent.
There is no debate that the Vikings need to acquire a veteran wide receiver. The only debate left is it going to be 1 or 2? And is the second one a guy that can cover the punt returns or whatever?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to happen. The Vikings have been very engaged. This isn't going to surprise anyone, but the Vikings are not the only team in on Adam Thielen. So you have to work through that. They're obviously the team that, I think that Adam Thielen would prefer to play for. But some of these different teams that Judd was mentioning that needed the wide receivers, you're seeing some of these wide receiver trades, and then you get a clearing of the deck once that team fills their need. The 49ers were a team like that. They consummated a trade last night for Sky Moore, who I do not believe the Vikings were interested in Sky Moore, but that removes one of your team's competition for Adam Thielen. And then as far as the Panthers side of this, I do think a trade makes sense. If they think that they're Super Bowl contenders, they're out of their freaking minds. They already have 3 good young wide receivers, and they have decent depth behind them, even without Adam Thielen, right? I mean, so your first-round pick, McMillan, your first-round pick from the year before, Leggett, Jalen Coker, who's one of the best UDFA wide receivers the last couple of years, starting caliber wide receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. And then behind them, even without Thielen, you have Hunter Renfrow, who's like having the resurgent training camp or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you also have Jimmy Horn, who has been impressing people there. I've heard really good things about Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn didn't get the best opportunity at Colorado because they had Travis Hunter and they had Will Shepard, et cetera, et cetera. But he's a good receiver who can play too. And I think they want to keep all those guys.
Can I report something right now?
Oh.
I'd like to report
Yeah,
something.
let's do
Breaking
this.
news.
Like I'm gonna this is a legitimate information. I'm gonna report about Adam Thielen. Okay.
Okay.
Not
Let's hear
kidding,
it.
all right? And I'm gonna figure out how to phrase this because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But a source with knowledge of the Panthers' thinking.
Okay.
Can I say it that way?
You can say it that way.
When I asked about Thielen and tradability there, he said Thielen's been super helpful and super valuable, but the Panthers would love to get a draft pick for a soon-to-be 35-year-old wide receiver. So I do think, again, this is just one person throwing something out, I do think if the price was right, but I think the price is higher now than it would be at the trade deadline, but you need him a lot more now than you would when Jordan Addison's back. And that's part of the issue.
That's right.
So,
The first 3, without Addison, you got some real problems, especially with the wide receivers that you have banged up beyond him, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the whole punt returner thing. Thielen is what the doctor ordered for what this roster needs right now. I don't have any, a special nostalgia for Adam Thielen. That's not why. This is my viewpoint, is you guys know I wanted his butt booted out of here at the end when some of those comments were coming out publicly and stuff like that. But it seems like he and his wife's attitude has changed with regards to the
Dude, that got
situation.
pretty messy a couple years ago, man.
Yeah.
But at the time he was thinking, I want one more big payday.
For sure.
And I believe that I am maybe a 1B receiver in this league still, and we push back against that at the time.
Yeah.
But I think at this point he's 34. If it was you're coming on into a 14-win team. By the way, he has spent a lot of time getting to know and work out with J.J. McCarthy, so they have a great relationship already. There's a nostalgia part of this because there's other names out there. One of your colleagues, by the way, at Fantasy Life, Ian, is it Ian Hartitz from Fantasy Life?
Shout out Ian.
He put out a bunch of Vikings wide receiver trade possibilities with he had categories. Nostalgic being Adam Thielen, electric Chris Olave from the Saints, lame Marquez Valdez-Scantling, fire Dontavian Wicks, low-key fire A.D. Mitchell, fun Curtis Samuel, the veteran, fun when you think about it, Tim Patrick, bad idea but fun Deontay Johnson. Purple Daily Anonymous tip line had him in Minneapolis at one point back in April.
I would pass on that one.
And then worst case, Alan Lazard. So that was your coworker who threw those names out.
Yeah, Adam Thielen, he can start for you the first 3 games. He can start for you on short notice when you're absolutely desperate. And he, of course, knows the coaching staff. He knows the playbook. He has rapport with McCarthy. Like you said, the last 2 summers haven't worked out with him. And then after that, when you go to the 3 wide receiver set, the Vikings only played 3 wide receiver sets roughly 50% of the snaps because they play so much 12 personnel. That would get Thielen back, I think, to a usage rate where you can be pretty confident you're going to get him for the full season. One other thing I'd say, last season on the field, Adam Thielen, 81st percentile PFF receiving grade, pretty decent. But here's the important thing for the Vikings. Receiving grade in 2024 against single coverage, Adam Thielen, 94th percentile. You think Adam Thielen getting double teamed with Justin Jefferson out there and Addison and T.J. Hawkinson, you're only going to be seeing single coverage, and you're going to be seeing it from a tertiary coverage option on the other team. He can still beat that.
And that's the problem. And so that's the problem going into the opener and the first 3 games. Well, part of the problem is that, unfortunately, because Jefferson's not practiced, the chemistry between McCarthy and Addison's been phenomenal, off the charts. It's really too bad because I don't know if the 3 games missed is going to stunt that growth, but my God, have they been good together. But the thing, too, is I'm not convinced, and this is where you might do Thielen. If you trade for Thielen or a guy like that, you might make it a conditional pick based on receptions, because I am not convinced that Adam Thielen, after 3 games, or the guy that they get, let's just say player X, could not possibly bump Naylor out of the 3 as well. Like, I'm not completely sold there. I like him. I think he's got upside. But then you go watch him practice, and there's practices where he does not look that good. So if you got a guy that was considered a starting caliber player, and after 3 games, I don't think you would say, well, okay, now you're demoted completely. The other thing to keep in mind, too, starting with the opener is, and I think we talked about this a couple days ago, but the issue with McCarthy is, and he's talked about this, the different coverages you see from the expectation because of Jefferson.
Yeah.
Like, if you're Kevin O'Connell, you want to keep things as simple as possible. Like, you don't want to have JJ study all of this Bears film. It's like, okay, I got this down pat. And then opening night, have him see these specialized looks constantly. Well, if you don't have somebody for Justin Jefferson to play off of, that's what you're going to see. So again, it might be Thielen, it might not. But if they don't get a receiver, it's going to be a mistake.
Yeah, for sure. They have to.
Could we transition to the Anthony Richardson thing?
Yeah.
Do you have more stuff on Thielen?
No, I think we should transition to it in a moment. I know that lunch is going to be delivered here mid-show in a second too.
Oh wow!
So
really?
If you have any other thoughts on, it's a walleye on a stick is on their way over.
That's
Here.
right.
Oh, well, look at that!
Oh,
let's go. Our food partner today, walleye on a stick here. In fact, tell us what you have in front of you.
We've got.
Can you guys hear him or no?
We've got walleye on a stick with us with a little bit of tartar sauce. We've got a wide-ranging menu, but walleye on a stick is kind of our signature item.
Love it. Yeah, walleye on a stick, by the way, a legendary spot here at the Minnesota State Fair. Deep-fried walleye on a stick on a bun in a boat. Also catfish on a stick, Cajun catfish, smelt, wallcat tacos, the birch bark sarsaparilla-style root beer. It is a must-try. I know it's one of my favorite. I'm a big Cajun catfish guy myself, too. But, thank you for coming over here. And any words of encouragement for the Vikings?
For the Vikings? When you're that good, I'm not sure how many words of encouragement you need.
There you go. Here's
Let's go.
the real question. Can you compete with Judd on a stick?
Yeah.
Can I compete with Judd on a stick?
Walleye on a stick or Judd on a stick?
I'll take the walleye on a stick.
I think we'll be okay.
I think you'll hang in there.
We'll hold our own.
I think you're going to survive, yes.
I love it, man. Here, you can just set it right here in front of Declan.
Yeah, that works. Yeah,
And,
keep it in front of me.
And now Declan's not going to transition to
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
What's that?
We can come back.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. Here, Thor, why don't you take some walleye on a stick?
Walleye on a
I would
stick,
love some
baby.
walleye
Let's
on a
go.
stick. Thank
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Sorry, we can definitely transition to Anthony Richardson here. Judd?
Oh, thank you very
Good.
much.
Okay. Dude,
Thank you.
Appreciate you bringing over
Thank
lunch
you.
here for the Purple Daily crew. Before we dive into some reckless speculation here on Purple Daily, Dex, a shout out to one of our favorite golf courses, the Meadows at Mystic.
That's right. I swing the sticks out there. I might be shooting 112, 115, maybe 120 realistically, but that's the best part about the Meadows. They welcome all those types of golfers. So if you're breaking 80 or just trying to break 110 like this guy, they welcome all that stuff. Go to golfthemeadows.com to book that next tee time. If you're coming up from a Vikings game even, if you have a plan for a home game, bring the sticks in the car, stop at the Meadows. Go to golfthemeadows.com to book that next tee time.
Also, a shout out to actually, it's funny. I just got a text from my guy Noah at Game Day Men's Health here because I got to figure out my next stop in there here in the next couple days. But listen, I turned 40 years old back in May, and some of the very mean commenters are saying Mackey looks like he's 100 years old.
Man.
Well, I'm working on that. Thanks to our friends at Game Day Men's Health, modern men's health care, where men go to reclaim energy, vitality. So whatever it is that you're dealing with as you get older, and sometimes we're bad at this, guys. We just sort of ignore our problems. Boy, I've been dealing with decreased energy and mental fog and stubborn weight for years. I'm just going to ignore it and move on with my next day. Well, Game Day Men's Health can help you with whether it's weight loss solutions, testosterone replacement therapy, which like my T number was far lower than it should have been, and they're there to help me with that. Not a traditional clinic. From the moment you walk in, you're greeted with a modern sports lounge vibe. Appointments and lab results are super fast. And I think you'll enjoy your experience. Edina, Minnetonka, Roseville. Check out GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Purple Daily. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Purple Daily. Take control of your health and your life.
All right, so the Anthony Richardson stuff here. So we know Daniel Dimes is going to be the starting quarterback in Indianapolis. KOC and him have a great love for one another. There was that mutual conversation that happened after the game when the Colts were here last week. Thor, I think the thing that I find like incredibly interesting about Anthony Richardson as a prospect, and I guess I don't know if you have like a comp for this or if you have what past precedent has said, but since he graduated high school, only like 750 pass attempts. Like he barely passed the ball. So he's very raw an athlete. Like how many guys like that have we seen come into the NFL where they barely threw? They're only kind of recently turned quarterbacks. Like I feel like he's kind of unique, or maybe I'm making an assumption there. But when you see Anthony Richardson as a prospect, do you think that there is still like a good quarterback in there?
Yeah.
That's all right.
I got you.
Walleye on a stick will do that to you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
The Walleye on a Stick halftime show there.
Walleye on a Stick was absolutely
holy
tremendous.
cow, it's amazing.
Anthony Richardson was sort of an unprecedented prospect. So do we have any total analogous guy? I don't know that we do. You know, in terms of the small amount of snaps that he got in college, and he wasn't great in that sample either, right? I mean, he was around 50% completions over his career. You see a guy like Cam Newton coming out. Cam Newton dragged an Auburn team that had absolutely no talent around him. I don't think any of the other 10 starters on offense did anything in the NFL, and he dragged them to a national championship his last season.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, he's got a bazooka for an arm. He's huge. He's a good athlete, but all the other things that have to do with quarterback play, we hadn't seen it yet. It was totally theoretical. And then it's like, can you build a system around him that you get him to run whatever? I think the interesting thing with regards to, the idea of him being a salvage prospect for another team, sort of a post-hype guy, you can pick him up cheap, is obviously KOC is the quarterback whisperer, and KOC has expressed admiration for at least his skill set in the past. I don't know if KOC, if you put true serum in him right now, if he believes that he could fix Anthony Richardson, but if there's one guy to try it with, it would be KOC. So that's why I think it's interesting.
So yeah, let's drill down on this. I've got some Anthony Richardson takes, but I want to throw a couple of questions at you. Knowing what you know about the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, and Judd's got the QB rehab school shirt on here, rocking it today.
That's right.
And you know that the Vikings have a war chest of draft picks. A lot of them are day 2, day 3 picks, but what would you give if the Colts said, all right, yeah, it's untenable at this point here. It's just not going to work. So we're gonna sell low on Anthony Richardson. What would you trade for him if you were the Vikings?
So
before the season,
the trade I tossed out on Twitter was Anthony Richardson, Alec Pierce, and a 7th-round pick for Sam Howell and a 4th-round pick this coming year.
You get the receiver and you get the quarterback project.
Yeah, but I think Howell and the 7th is pretty close for Richardson on its own. The 4th was more for the Alec Pierce side of things and addressing the wide receiver thing. But yeah, his value is plummeted to the point where I think you can call them with quote-unquote low-ball offers, and I think they would seriously consider it. Why do the Colts want to keep Anthony Richardson around on the roster now? The same guys that are the coaching staffs and the play callers are the ones that have failed to develop him to this point. And he's just a reminder for that front office of one of their biggest failed picks of the past 20 years for that franchise. If you're that team, why don't you want to move on? If they thought Anthony Richardson was even a shot that he was a part of their future plans, they wouldn't have started Daniel Jones. They wouldn't have signed Daniel Jones, right? You would have signed a different veteran backup, and you would have rolled it forward another season. The coaching staff and the front office is obviously terrified of getting fired. They have already moved on from Anthony Richardson. So again, if I'm another franchise, you have sort of like an open backup 2 thing, or you could switch your QB2, as is this case, by flipping Howell and maybe something else. That is something that I would consider, especially, by the way, and this is worth noting with regards to the Vikings, because I believe Max Brosmer is playable in case of emergency.
So that was my other thing is like I don't think with the work that Richardson still needs and the fact that you watch that first preseason game and wow, yes, I watched the Colts first preseason game for some reason. I'm not sure how many other football junkies did that. But he absolutely, like one of the most basic reads for a quarterback.
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah.
you've got more men up front than your offensive line can block. So you either need to slide the protection right.
Yes.
Leave the free runner, and that's fine, but get rid of the ball to one of your 2 hot routes. Wide open 2 hot routes, turn around, waiting for the ball, and he's like eating the sack and running out to the left.
It was a great encapsulation of the issues with Anthony Richardson, because there was like 3 mistakes on that one play that led to him getting smoked.
But the problem with that entire play, again, goes back to the great O'Connell quote. Teams fail young quarterbacks more than young quarterbacks fail teams. Why didn't he know that?
Yeah.
He's been clear. Look, like the whole thing with the Colts, to your point, is messed up. And so this isn't yes, it's on the kid too. But if you purely put this on the kid, and that's where O'Connell comes in because he likes him, there's something there that the Colts haven't found. And that's where it would be very interesting to bring him into an environment where he could sort of hang loose and get that experience and now see a year from now. Can you identify things you can't identify now?
Agreed 100%. But because of all those things, he's not playable for you early in the season or maybe at all this season. If you made that trade you're talking about, it would be to stash Anthony Richardson as QB3.
Yeah.
Completely break glass in case of emergency only. And you would then need QB2, who in the kick, because QB2 is like a bad play away from a knee, a concussion, something away from playing. And you just traded Sam Howell, who we all have questions about. Can Max Brosmer be QB2 then in that situation?
Let me ask you two guys a question.
No, I don't trust Sam Howell at all.
Okay, I think I know what your answer is going to be. If, let's just say, I don't even want to toss, but worst case scenario, and there was an injury to QB what? I'm not even going to say anything beyond that. Who would you be more comfortable playing in a regular season game, starting in a regular season game right now? Max Brosmer or Sam Howell? Who do you think would fare better? Brosmer, the crowds with Max.
The actual logical correct answer is Sam Howell. I love Max Brosmer too.
Boo.
But I'm sorry. The answer is Sam Howell.
But a mystery box could be anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Max Brosmer, you could be best. You know how much we wanted to
who'd
vote.
you go with?
Well, here's my question. Again, going back to the fact that O'Connell has dismissed quarterbacks out of hand. Mm-hmm. So, like, he doesn't like a lot of guys. He has no time for them. His appreciation for Richardson does bring a question to me, which is, how ruined is Richardson and for how long? Mm-hmm. I'm willing to admit here, there's a lot we don't know. Like, if this was, I don't know, take your pick. If this was the Zimmer teams, okay? I'd say don't do it. You're going to screw it up. You screw this stuff up. But with O'Connell, I think there's a real question of, okay, if you liked him, and I'll go back to this. So last year at some point, Brett Coleman was on the Mina Kimes show and talking about the Vikings' interest in Richardson at the time of the draft. And Brett Coleman said, I don't think people realize how hard the Vikings tried to trade up for Richardson. Mm-hmm. Like, the haul that they put on the table was massive. Like, they were going to give away the entire farm and all the cows, all of it. They were going to give everything, but it takes two to tango. The trade partner, which was not the Colts, the trade partner thought they were going to be too good, meaning the Vikings, and so they went elsewhere because they didn't want low picks. They wanted high picks. So
did he say the cows?
Yes, he said
they can trade the horses. Yeah. I don't need the horses. The horses can go. I don't want a horse on my
We'll give you
farm.
2 firsts, a third, and
all the
4 cows.
Well, the cows can block.
You kick in 6 chickens and this deal's done.
The cows are the interior line, boys.
So, yeah, I mean, that's fascinating because I keep going back to in college. And I love that this is like a hypothetical kind of spinning out of control here. But it is a great candidate for quarterback rehab school here. And the embrace of Kevin and Anthony Richardson on the field after that game. Anthony Richardson, not very much experience in college, low completion percentage in college. He was drafted high purely based on Dante Culpepper-like measurements and athleticism. Mm-hmm. It's not like he had a 3 or 4 year track record of being accurate and reading defenses in college and dominating. And then you get in the NFL, and immediately he gets hurt because he thinks he can take on a linebacker and what have you. So we only get 4 games the rookie year, but then we get like 10 games in his second year. So you've been in the league now, you've been processing in meetings, studying, and he still only completes like 48% of his passes last year. 60% is low in today's NFL. So, and by the way, I was doing some more digging on this. People get enamored with Anthony Richardson's peak highlights. He's going to drop back with pressure in his face and off of his back foot, body fading away, hit a receiver 70 yards down the field and make a catch. And, oh, my God, if he could just – okay, that's a play that happens once every other week. Maybe you get a chance for that. It's the mundane, on-schedule, intermediate throws that really make your money as a quarterback. And last year on intermediate throws, so in the air 10 to 20 yards, where you make your bread and butter, it's 3rd and 7, right? He was 46% on those throws. Lamar Jackson, 72%. Baker Mayfield, 65%. So it's great to talk about, like, just put him in quarterback rehab school. If you can't complete, even without, like, just, like, there's a base level of, dude, you got to be able to complete, like, 60% of your passes, and then we can help you from there. Your ECT score has to be a certain number before you get admitted to school.
Okay, but what if O'Connell thinks that he can? Like, that's my thing, is we don't know. I trust O'Connell. The only guys that O'Connell has struggled with are guys he basically didn't want. And so if O'Connell says, I can fix it, I see it. And my question off of that, too, is we are very dismissive of accuracy problems. If you're not an accurate quarterback, I feel like the cliche now is, well, you're sort of screwed. But Josh Allen came into the league not very accurate, and somebody fixed it. So I guess my faith here to Phil's stats is, okay, all good points, but if Kevin O'Connell's still like, I can fix that, I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, you're talking about two different caliber of coaching staffs here, and I don't trust at all, right, I'm not going on a limb with this, what the Colts did with him at all. If you brought in Anthony Richardson, you would basically start at the ground floor, just like you would just selected him in the draft. The thing that you're talking about with Josh Allen, the issue with him, it wasn't reading the field, it was the mechanics, right? And so sometimes at Wyoming, he was Nuke LaLoosh. Even when he made the correct decision as far as where to go with the ball, it hit someone, sitting on a horse on the sideline or whatever, like in Varsity Blues. So you had that kind of an issue. With Richardson, you would first have to address the field reading thing. And Phil, you brought up that example of the injury that he suffered that first preseason game. That's a pre-snap thing, right? But like Kevin O'Connell's really good at teaching that. You start at the ground floor. A Kevin O'Connell quarterback is never going to miss that, the slide protection. And then you forgot to do that, so now you have a free rusher coming. You would know that he was there. You mentioned the hot read. I don't know how many of you guys, the last preseason game, the third quarter, did you guys see O'Connell when he was on the TV broadcast? There was one play, and I forget which, you'll probably remember better, but he was saying to PA about single high safety look, and so he said, we're going to get a chance to have someone run downfield on this play if the safety comes down. Then you started to see the safety creep down, so O'Connell's like, this ball's going deep. That was before the snap. Like when we talk about like pre-snap read against post-snap read, sometimes the answer is given to you before the ball has been snapped. Yeah. Anthony Richardson, I've never seen a snap with him in the NFL where he appears confident about what he's about to do after the snap. I don't think they've even gotten him to that point in his development. How could you ever expect for his physical ability to play up or him to be able to access it if every time he goes on the field, it's like reading algebra?
Yeah,
right?
What? Like the same for Caleb Williams too. And I know it's funny to watch Bears fans. Caleb Williams goes out there for like one drive in a preseason game against the Buffalo Bills backup defense, and it looked great. It was like 10 plays, but Bears fans have been crawling in the quarterback desert since Sid Luckman retired in 1950. It's like, okay. So on one hand, I do make fun of Bears fans for that. On the other hand, Caleb Williams, year one, with a bad coaching staff, Matt Eberflus, dead man walking. How many times when you were watching a Bears game was the ball snapped and it felt like he knows what the answer is right away? Or was it ball snapped, oh my God, what's happening, with the majority of the time? And so you get a competent offensive coaching staff, and Ben Johnson lays out, hey, dude, before the ball is snapped, you're pretty well going to know what you're going to do, what the decision is, right? And it looked like that in that second preseason game. So that would be the saving grace for Anthony Richardson, is you get it. But again, if you do make that happen, and it would fit with what Kwesi's philosophy is too, right? Buy low on a bust of a first or second round pick.
Loves to do that.
Sam Darnold, Jeff Okudah, the names are countless.
Yep.
Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But you would have to do it and tell him and everyone else, he's not playing unless everyone gets hurt, and we have to put him into a game until 2026.
And this might be something that they do in 6 months. Like, I don't think Richardson with the Colts, short of them blowing out the entire staff and saying, let's start fresh, I don't think it's going to work. I mean, you just picked Daniel Jones over the 4th overall pick in a draft, which is incredible ineptitude on all parts.
Yes.
But the thing here, too, is if you're O'Connell and you see something, and you can say, okay, we're going to work, and this would be a far better project to start in January. and you just start to work with him, and you say, here's what you're seeing. And don't forget, too, so the play that you're talking about from the Rams game in the third, or I'm sorry, from the game in the third quarter, the Patriots game, was the Jashaun Jones deep ball. That Jashaun, and O'Connell did a great job of saying he's got to get his eyes around, it was basically, Roseman threw a decent ball. Jashaun Jones didn't react to it. But if you remember at the start of that entire thing, O'Connell's like, I'm really excited about this play. Here's the look we're going to get. And then he wasn't so sure. And then sure enough, the safety did come in. I said, here it is. But, keep in mind that, and McVay did this with Goff, with the Rams as well. You have until 15 seconds are left on that headset to tell the quarterback what he's seeing.
Wow.
And I remember Goff, the first year of Goff and McVay, the whole thing was McVay would literally talk him through it until 15 seconds were left. And so that's the advantage. And I can guarantee you the Matt Eberflus Bears, if they talk to Caleb with 15 seconds left, we're basically trying to get chicken strips. And so, you were looking at an entire...
Yeah, hey, Caleb, hold on a second. Get some ranch on the side. Some barbecue. Okay, yeah. Oh, so Caleb.
I need a steak. But anyway, the point being is I do think that it's a different ballgame when you have a quarterback coach who understands as much to at least give the kid a chance. Because he does probably deserve a chance.
Yeah, that's right. And the quarterbacks with the Vikings, they talk a lot about how good KOC is teaching the why. It's not just like, and here's the, do that. The why behind it, which allows you to sort of extrapolate some of this stuff for yourself in the moment, right? It's the teach a man to fish as opposed to give him a fish. Teach a man to make walleye on a stick.
Yeah, instead of giving him.
You'll have walleye on a stick forever, for life.
By the way, we have Thor for another 10, 15 minutes. Chip Scoggins going to hang out with us. That microphone is there specifically if you want to ask Thor anything. So if anyone in their lives has ever had a question for Thor Nystrom and thought, when am I ever going to get a chance to ask him face-to-face this life question, this football question, do not be shy. That is a microphone for you to ask Thor anything you want to. Do you guys have anything you'd like to ask Thor from a football or Viking standpoint? If you could ask Thor anything, Dex or Judd.
Well, I got something. Well, we'll see if folks have any question. But right now for work at Fantasy Life, I'm doing I'm going through each position 2026 NFL draft. We are currently on the front seven. And this comes a little bit more to the fore with the Vikings, for this coming April. A decent shot that they take an interior defensive lineman now with one of their first couple picks. And I think they were going to without the Harrison Phillips trade either way. Couple names for you guys. Peter Woods from Clemson is so fun. Peter Woods is going to go really, really high in the draft. I don't think the Vikings are going to get access to him, but it was fascinating watching his cut-ups because Clemson played Peter Woods. Peter Woods, 6'2", 315 pounds. They played him as an edge defender, like a stand-up pass rusher, like against Georgia in last year's opener. He was harassing Carson Beck was their quarterback at the time all game long. Again, as a stand-up rusher, a 4-3 defensive end who was standing up and rushing. So they played him at defensive end early in the year. You saw him more traditional interior defensive lineman down the stretch. Peter Woods is an absolute stud. But two guys I think the Vikings could have access to if they end up taking one in the first round. Caleb Banks from Florida, a Louisville transfer. 6'6", a shade over 6'6", 334 pounds.
Oh.
And his wingspan is over 7 feet. Football. Which is pretty incredible. He's drawn some comps to Chris Jones. That's a guy that you can stick right over center, and he is going to clock things up, and obviously a neat point for the Vikings. One other guy, Darnell Jackson Jr. from Florida State. It's another big hog molly in there, 6'5", 341 pounds.
Hog molly, highly underutilized football.
Hog mollies are great.
And he also has over a 7-foot wingspan. So you get the guys with length, and you have some bulk in there.
So we are, I believe, from last Monday, 2 weeks away from the opener. So here's my training camp question now. We know wide receiver needs improved depth. How comfortable are you with cornerback? So because Okudah left practice yesterday with a foot injury of some sort. And Jeff Okudah, interestingly enough, was never challenged. He is the outside corner in the nickel when Byron Murphy Jr. goes inside. And so Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah outside, because you're in nickel, 53% of the time, and Byron Murphy inside, and then Mekhi Blackman, who seems to have fallen out of favor. He never competed. It was very odd. Zemiah Vaughn, the undrafted free agent, I think that they like a lot because of the length.
Yeah.
He again's a lengthy kid. And Dwight McGlotherin's going to make the team. I don't know they like him as much as they did a year ago. But how comfortable are you? Let's say Okuda's hurt, and Mekhi Blackman probably would, or I don't know who would play. Let's say Dwight McGlothrin would play outside. What's your feeling there?
I would like another cornerback. I would like another playable cornerback. It's the pressingness of that has fallen behind wide receiver just because of the state of the wide receiver room right now.
Yeah.
But I think it still bears mentioning. Like you would be way more comfortable with that cornerback room if you had another at least playable guy, particularly in lieu of the circumstances that you're talking about. Now Okuda's banged up. Seems like they might have found something in Okuda. We'll have to find out about that. But now he gets banged up right before the season.
Yep.
And then the Mekhi Blackman thing. I saw him on a milk carton over there. It was missing. Where is Mekhi
That's
Blackman?
a throwback. Yeah. I like that. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. It's let's just say that Jeff Okuda is carrying a lot of water right now for that cornerback room. That they are banking a lot on him being able to not be the bust that he was for the Lions and the other two organizations. So would you like to ask Thor anything?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I just want to tell you 2027 Bison country here.
Oh, yeah.
2027 Bison Montana State kickoff in 2027, the kickoff. On Thursday night. Yep.
I love that. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah. NDSU this year, Bryce Lance.
Yes.
You like Bryce Lance?
Yes. In fact, I was at Team Makers, and I met a lot of players, and I was just wondering, how excited are you with some of those NDSU players, and are you going to scout any of them?
For sure. In fact, I might be in the building in Fargo this fall. We're still deciding, but to see Bryce Lance and hopefully get a shot to interview him and do a scouting report, talk to some of the coaching
and
staff
Cole
there.
Payton, the quarterback,
Yeah.
and Len Logan. I don't know his last name, but he's a linebacker or something like that. And anyway, we got some good players on that team.
I'll check him out because I'm watching linebackers right now.
Okay.
So I'll take a look at him. But Bryce Lance, I like his tape.
Yes.
And for people out there that don't know, Trey Lance's brother,
Yes.
who is an objective, in my opinion, top 10 wide receiver prospect, draft eligible for 2026 heading into the fall.
I know.
And he could have gone up, he could have transferred wherever he wanted, and he stayed at NDSU.
I know, because we're a good program and everything like that. And I already asked him, do you want to become a Viking? I already asked him.
There you go.
Wait,
I love it.
what did he say?
Of course.
Okay.
No, they always say, I'll go anywhere. I said, I don't want to hear that, because that's one of the first questions I asked all these players.
You know what? I'm holding out for one guy. His name's Coy Parrish, and he plays right down the street here. Okay? Coy Parrish is my guy.
Yeah.
That's right.
We got to wait on him a little
Double
bit.
threat right there.
So,
Double threat.
I wish you could tell us when you're going to be there. It would be so fun to.
I'll say it on the air when we
Okay.
figure it out. Yeah,
Love
because
Do it,
I have to
Thank
figure
you.
that out with my
and we can
full
just go
time.
to B-Dubs and just talk.
I love it. I love it.
All right,
Appreciate
coming up next year.
Thank you.
We have a line of people
Go
looking
Bison.
to ask Thor anything.
All right, I got a question for Thor about your favorite person, Colin Cowherd. So he's now saying that McCarthy could maybe be a Brock Purdy type. So surprise, surprise. How long before you think it takes for him to be fully in on McCarthy?
Oh, that's going to take a while, because when he's proven wrong about McCarthy, that he's already set this up by doing the Brock Purdy thing.
Yeah.
He's shifting the conversation to supporting cast. So you have the sort of thing outside of McCarthy that you can point to as the reason for his success, essentially to explain away his success. I love it, though, how he is already hedging and setting this stuff up before McCarthy's even taking a snap. His boy Greg Cosell went on there last week, and now all of a sudden Greg Cosell, who Coward's been copying his take for a year, Greg Cosell's story has entirely changed. Now J.J. McCarthy's an awesome athlete with a big-time arm who always had tools. It's like, okay, Greg, that's not what you were saying last spring, but we appreciate it.
The media war between like people who cover the Vikings closely every day and the Cowherds, the Rusini.
Oh, it's gotten out of control.
It is. Rusini literally felt like she needed security to be at Vikings training camp last week.
And I guess Sando is now in the camp of, I know things about McCarthy that I'm not going to tell you about, but I know things, which is the Coward thing.
Oh.
It's the same thing. I know
reasons why
there's things going on behind the scenes that the media doesn't know, and they're just a bunch of apologists for the Vikings. But nobody will say what those things are. It's like, well, if you don't tell us, what do you tell? You can't not tell us. You're the media.
It is super interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Their stories have changed throughout all these different people, and they keep moving the goalposts to try to make their argument right. Like, I mean, trust the people who were 10 toes down with their comments from the start.
Thankfully, we get to watch actual regular season games here soon, we can. It's crazy. It's been a year and a half since he was drafted, and we've only seen him play in 2 preseason games and joint practices, and so now you finally get to drive the car out of the garage here.
Right.
So
I'm guessing no coward appearance on the show anytime soon.
Hey, listen, it would be incredible.
I'm a fan. He's a great hot take guy.
I love Colin too, and it would be. I mean, he can be wrong about this, and is still welcome on the show. And our audience will eviscerate us if we don't push back.
Right.
Lesson learned from the Ross Tucker episode from a few months ago.
They dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah. Also, Colin brought you on a year and a half ago. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And he brought you on
before the draft
on his Volume podcast.
Yes.
A year and a half ago to specifically talk J.J. McCarthy. So
I did my best, but you can only lead him to
didn't
water.
listen to
You
a thing
can't
you
make him
said.
drink. But he didn't. He didn't at all.
Did a producer line that up, or were you guys texting before that?
His producer hooked it up with my where I was working at the time.
Got it. Okay. Ask Thor anything.
What's up, Thorsky?
How you doing?
Want to take some notes out of Thor's fantasy football.
Is that
notes
out of a
here.
Judd's Camp Notes
I like that.
notebook
It's
right
Judd's
there?
Camp
Thank
Notes.
you. I love it.
Looking
See?
for some Thor fantasy
Good
notes
use.
right here.
Good
I like
use.
it.
Only sports stuff.
Here,
Nothing
only
else.
sports stuff.
Yeah, I don't want restaurant recommendations in there.
Nope.
Phone numbers of people.
Daily
I just want
journaling?
that. I don't.
Daily journaling.
Words
Yeah,
of
if it's about
affirmation?
sports.
Self-reflection.
If it's about sports. Daily journaling.
And I'm using black for fantasy notes, and then I'll get red.
just-
for
Oh, the
some
multicolor.
more
Oh,
charts.
There you go. You want this to
There we go. You just want me to give some fantasy
Just a quick list of some fantasy steals. I feel like I know one of the names that are going to be on
Okay,
there.
yeah, I mean,
but
for the
what do you got?
Vikings, I think Hawkinson's a really good value, and I mean, he's one of the best.
Jordan Mason. I heard you
Jordan
talking about
Mason
Jordan
for
Mason.
sure.
Jordan
He's being
Mason.
slept
Yeah.
on. Is Aaron Jones going to score touchdowns?
I would take you don't have to in fantasy drafts because the way the ADPs are or whatever, not even close. But if it was me in a vacuum, I would rather have Jordan Mason on my fantasy team than Aaron Jones. Even though Aaron Jones gets taken rounds and rounds and rounds ahead of Jordan Mason, which never made any sense. Like we've talked about. I think T.J. Hawkinson's underrated. McCarthy really was beforehand. Now he's gotten closer to an appropriate, fantasy sort of sticker price, but maybe still slightly undervalued there. And then on other teams, I'm trying to think through some of my guys. Ricky Pearsall, I think, is a big sleeper. The ADP stuff has him right by Juwan Jennings. All the stuff out of there is that Ricky Pierce, not only has he been healthier and he's not discontented with his contract, but that he's looked really good in camp. He's going to be their wide receiver 1 this year. I really like Ricky Pearsall's game. In fact, coming out of the draft, I had him as a first-round player, and I comped Ricky Pearsall to Adam Thielen. Okay. I think that there's a lot of similarities with their game, and with San Francisco, the skill guys that they lost, they have to manufacture some of that offense. The thing that Ricky Pearsall, he gets open every time.
Yeah.
He's a really good route runner. Like he doesn't have physical trump card, right? Like he's not going to go downtown and sky over 2 people for the ball. He's just going to be open every time, which Brock Purdy, a great field reader, is very much going to appreciate. So he would be one of my top sleepers, outside of the Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purdy's probably pretty comfortable with him by now, too, right? It's his second year in the system, I think.
For sure.
Pearsall.
And the first one, Ricky Pearsall got shot in the offseason, right? So, I mean, he had to work back from that. And
It's always tough when that
that's a little
happens.
problem.
Yeah.
It took him a while, but by the time you got to the very end of the regular season, all of a sudden, they were just pounding him with targets, like the last couple games. So I think you're going to see more of that. I like Xavier Worthy as another guy I would toss out. Xavier Worthy, speaking of down the stretch, last year, Kansas City started to manufacture him touches similarly that they had done for Tyreek Hill. Back in the day, you saw the jet sweeps, you saw the end arounds, just different concepts to make sure we get the ball in the hands of Xavier Worthy. I think you're going to see more of that. Rashee Rice, beginning of the season, obviously you have the suspension, the injury, he's going to be later in September, I think, is when his hearing is. But Xavier Worthy.
Are you writing any of that down? You got to get some of this? Okay, good.
And you just gave that all away for free.
Hey,
Thanks,
Awesome,
guys.
man.
Appreciate
you got it. You got it.
All right, we got time for one more here. Ask Thor anything.
Sorry, quick shout out to my wife over here, Alexis.
Yeah.
Today's my birthday.
Happy
and
birthday,
birthday.
man.
My birthday gift, we're from Iowa, and my
Go
birthday
Hawkeyes.
gift is getting me up here to meet you guys.
Love that.
So
Love
that's her
That's
Great birthday.
back there.
What a great
love
wife.
that. Love
Can we we
So-
should turn around and give
Yeah.
a little selfie or something here, right? Oh, she's right there. Okay, here we go.
Are you guys Hawkeye fans?
Okay. Yeah, we are Hawkeye fans. Yeah.
Made those colors for you in the microphone.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my question.
Yeah.
Both of them have an injury history, McCarthy and Jefferson. Which one is more important to the Vikings offense or to the team? So if one of them had to get an injury, which one would you choose and why? I don't want it to happen.
That is such a Vikings fan thing to say right there, sir.
It's okay, man.
I don't know if I could answer that. I don't know if I could put that one out into the ether. But Justin Jefferson's one of the greatest players that's ever played the game. He's going to go down the very top of the hierarchy for wide receivers. So even though I'm the biggest J.J. McCarthy Bobo alive, it'd be hard for me to choose against Justin Jefferson. One other point I'll make, just because it's your birthday and you're from Iowa and a Hawkeye fan, a draft note for 2026, Logan Jones, the Iowa center, is an absolute stud. We'll see how Ryan Kelly does this season and the injuries and stuff like that, if he can get through the season healthy. If there's any center need in the spring, in April, watch out for Logan Jones. I think Logan Jones is going to be the first center taken. Just an amazing, amazing athlete, Logan Jones.
And that was not a fair catch.
Yeah, let's say that was a fumble, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a fair catch.
That was a touchdown.
Yeah, it was a tutty. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Happy
Appreciate
birthday.
you, buddy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hey, Thor Nystrom, everyone, from Matthew Berry's FantasyLife.com.
Yeah.
Thor KU on Twitter. Any last minute parting Viking shots before next Thursday? And he'll be back out here next Thursday as well, too. So you'll get plenty more of Thor.
For more free food for you.
Yeah. Bring some more. I'm just excited for the season to get going. You have the last preseason game tomorrow night, and 2 weeks from Monday. Like we're getting there, and that's the homecoming game for McCarthy in his debut, heading back to Chicago. Grew up in the shadows of Soldier Field, so that's going to be fun.
His first ever game in person, his dad took him to a Vikings-Bears game, and so that's a great story, because now he's going back there on a Monday night to play.
It's going to be incredible. And a Bears team, by the way, that passed on J.J. McCarthy twice in the top 10, 2024 draft. I don't know if he's going to start seeing them as his Ohio State Buckeyes. You know, J.J. McCarthy hated Ryan Day because he lied to him about his scholarship. But, it's going to be fun to kick off his career that way.
Yeah. Love it. Thor Nystrom from Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life.
Great stuff, Thor.
We're going to keep it live here, and Chip Scoggins is going to come out and take Thor's spot here for a little Purple Daily, Purple Access mashup here. But yeah, we are live here at the Minnesota State Fair, right here on the Minnesota Rusco Score North podcast stage. And we're going to get, like I said, Chip out here in just a moment, boys. But a shout out to Padres. Judd, you were like filming videos for Padres earlier this morning at the fair.
So
promotional Judd.
Yes, I was. So this morning I got here bright and early to go down to O'Gara's, where they are serving for the first time Padres, and in particular, ladies and gentlemen, the Red Chimney. I've been talking to you about this forever. It is outstanding. Now, here's the problem with shooting a promotional video.
Oh, boy.
They got me a Red Chimney to drink.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is great.
About,
and then I'm like, well, hold on a second. I have to go do content. And so
you can have a little bit of it.
I had a couple of sips, okay? I had a couple of sips, but I couldn't drink.
I thought you were a little
thing.
loopy during the Twin show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, no,
now,
I was
actually.
upset during the Twin show.
This makes much more sense.
Anyway, it's at O'Gara's. Try it out. The Red Chimney, absolutely fantastic. Also, the Patty's Premium Padres now growing and growing. Beer available in more than 200 liquor stores in the Metro, Rochester, and Mankato. They also have their own place over in the old Lando Nod Factory at the corner of Broadway and Central Avenues Northeast. You can find them on Facebook or Instagram, Padres.com. Padres.com is their website. It is a really fast-growing beer, and it is fantastic. And the Red Chimney, I can tell you right now, nothing better than a Red Chimney and some sports on at the same time.
Wow.
I just wish I could have drank mine.
Wow. Also, we mentioned Minnesota Rusco, who has helped us craft this awesome setup here at the Minnesota State Fair. Score North here today, tomorrow, and all 5 weekdays next week. Minnesota Rusco has been Minnesota's hometown remodeler since 1955. So whatever it is that you've been thinking about that project, right? The patio, your kitchen needs to be redone, bathroom work, siding, whatever it is, windows, doors. Well, the State Fair sale is here for Minnesota Rusco. And right now, you'll pay nothing for 2 full years on all bathrooms, kitchens, windows, siding, roofing, decks, doors. No down payment, no monthly payments, and no interest for 2 full years, 24 months. So, yeah, if you're thinking about that remodel, thinking about that bathroom project, whatever it is, go to MinnesotaRusco.com. Turn to the experts for over 70 years, MinnesotaRusco.com. Also, there's a few thousand people watching on the Purple Daily YouTube channel live right now, so thank you guys. Shout out to everyone who has clicked the subscribe button and the like button. You can help us keep growing the best Vikings community on the internet, and that is, we think anyways, Purple Daily. And it's not because of us necessarily, it's because of you guys, your awesome listeners, viewers, and just fans of the show and this team. It's also been super fun to just meet people out here.
Yeah.
You know, we do the draft party and we do some unplugged events, but we're oftentimes just sitting in our little home studios talking to each other about football and life. And so to get out here and hang out with people that we're friends with but we've never met is kind of a weird way to say it, but that's how we feel about the Purple Daily audience, Judd.
Absolutely. No, it's fun. And look, this is going to be an exciting season, too. Like, doing the show is perfect right now because the expectations are high.
Yeah.
They should be. And quite frankly, there's a lot to like.
Yeah.
So, like, there's been years where you're going into it, right, and you're like, I don't know about this season. And certainly being a Vikings fan, there's plenty to be skeptical about at times. But I think that this is exciting. And the fact that they have their first ever top 10 drafted quarterback is really going to be fun. So if nothing else, this is about as much expectation I've felt in a while, I think, for a Viking season.
So with that, let's bring on, we'll keep it rolling here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, and let's bring in our guy from, look, he's got his Judd on a stick here,
my friendship
presented by Pronto Pup. He is a longtime Star Tribune columnist and football reporter. He is a football connoisseur. You can find him every week on Purple Access on the Purple Daily feed with his former colleague at the Star Tribune, Judd Zulgad. Chip Scoggins, everybody, in the house
Chipper.
here.
How you doing, buddy?
On
Thank you.
Purple Daily.
I'm eyeing this. Is this walleye?
You can have that, yeah.
How long has it been sitting there?
Like 25 minutes.
Yeah, I took one bite from it.
Judd just throws it down on his newspaper.
It's really good.
I
It's
took one. No,
fantastic.
it's
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
delicious.
I just can't chew and talk.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also a Pronto Pup here if you want.
Well, and there's
That's been sitting out for like 2 hours.
It's covered in foil.
and
It
there's
is, yeah.
cookies.
Maybe
There's
on,
cookies
maybe
as
on the
well.
way home in case it goes.
There you go.
sideways on me.
There you go. Good call.
So okay, Judd brought up kind of the excitement of the season here.
Yeah.
What are a lot of the sports books and whatnot have 8.5 as kind of the number. What does the Chip book say? What are the Chip Scoggins expectations?
Funny enough, the Star Tribune, we had our official picks that are coming out sometime. I don't know.
Oh, so we can't spoil them. Then.
I'll give you mine. I don't care. I said 11-6.
Okay.
I look at this team and they're better on paper than they were last year. Now I'm not going to pick 14 wins because who does that? But they improved in the areas that they absolutely had to improve in. They fixed their trenches. They saw where they were deficient at. They got better on both lines. You know, the one unknown obviously is the quarterback, but I think there's no reason why anything I've seen that he shouldn't play well. What does that mean? What's that ceiling? I don't know, and he'll continue to grow, but I don't think it's one of those things where you say, oh, got a first-year starting quarterback, 6 wins. I don't understand the outside perception of this team's going to win 7 or 8 games. I don't know where that's coming from because I look at their roster, and this is absolutely a team that should be a playoff team. Absolutely, everything they've done reeks of this is an organization that expects to win right now.
Yeah.
I feel like what they've done a good job of, Chip, as well, and this is where I think there's gotten to be some lost context in preseason football discussions, is I think they've done a marvelous job of taking McCarthy into a season pretty insulated. He's got a really good coach, a guy who knows how to call plays, a guy who knows how to operate on the fly, an improved offensive line, certainly an improved because of that also run game. So, you know, it'd be different if we were skeptical of the rest of the offense and it was going to be J.J. McCarthy to Justin Jefferson or bust.
That's it.
But it is sort of weird, and I think this is partly a national focus thing because it's impossible to cover every single team. You look at the quarterback and you look at some of the skill guys, and then you make a judgment. And if that was the case, I think McCarthy might be in trouble. But they've given him so much.
Well, that's it. And it goes back to, I heard you mention it earlier, that the quote that Kevin O'Connell says, organizations fail quarterbacks, right? Mm-hmm. Well, this organization didn't fail this quarterback this offseason. Right. They went out, they solidified their interior line. Now they have to stay healthy. They went out and improved the running game. All the things that you would want to do to give a young quarterback the foundation to be successful. Now, JJ has to prove it. You can't just say don't make mistakes. He's going to have to make an important 3rd and 9 throw at some point. But they put the pieces around him so it's not just all on his shoulders. They're going to be able to run the ball better in the low red zone. They're going to be able to run the ball better in short yardage, 3rd and short. So it's not just – and this goes back to when you saw that Detroit game at the end of the season, and Sam Darnold, whatever happened to him happened. Like he lost control of his emotions, whatever, and he couldn't hit it. They did not have a plan B when they got down there.
No, they just kept throwing the football.
They either couldn't or Kevin O'Connell didn't trust it.
Right.
Both are true. And so they walked away from those 2 games, and Kevin was 100% honest when my colleague Mark Craig asked after that playoff game, says, what do you need to do with your line? We've got to get better there. They went out and fixed that. And you look at the defense, I think they're going to be really good. But everything, I asked Kevin O'Connell a couple weeks ago, I said, have you learned enough about Hargrave and Jonathan Allen to know how they're going to impact your defense? He's just like, yes.
Yeah, well, and
yes,
the foreshadow, yes, enough to where we actually have a trade lined up with the Jets right now for Harrison Phillips, right?
Yeah, well, it's funny because Judd and I on our podcast, during one of the slow periods, we said, okay, let's list our 5 areas of concern position-wise. And I can't remember what number it was, like maybe 3 or 4. I put defensive line not because, wasn't sure about Jonathan Allen and Hargrave. I think they obviously got better there, but just their depth. I wasn't sure. They had a bunch of young guys, and you weren't really sure like what they were going to be. Clearly, they don't have the same concerns. And what we've seen in the training camp and preseason, they felt comfortable enough with this young crew, Redmond, those guys, that they felt like there's really not – if there's a drop-off, there's not enough to offset the money that we're paying this veteran, and so trade him.
And you, just to go back, you were kind of reflecting on – Kevin O'Connell at the podium after the season ended, where it was very noticeable against both the Lions and the Rams that you were just, it was a mismatch not only for your offensive line, but your defensive line. And the metrics proved out, too, that the Vikings had like an 8% pass rush win rate interior, which is like way below the rest of the league. And so they wipe out 60% of their offensive line. But then, and it took until yesterday for this to happen, the final piece to the trenches being pieced together was the trade of Harrison Phillips.
Yeah.
So they wind up, on both sides of the ball, they wind up saying goodbye to 60% of offensive line, and then also their entire defensive front from those games. Because they already said goodbye to like the journeyman guys, Bullard and whatever, and Tillery, I think, was the other one. So to completely wipe out, it happens in a lot of games at the end of the season where, we should probably fix that at some point. The Vikings literally said, no more are we going to get dominated in the trenches.
Do you think, Judd, that they had this inkling going into camp that, okay, Harrison is hanging by a thread that we feel like these young guys, we just need to see it in camp?
Right.
Or was it something that, like, I don't think it's like this grand revelation in camp. They're like, oh, my gosh, look at these guys.
I think they've overachieved, though. I think those guys have done more than they
Maybe it's the
expected.
development part, though. Maybe it's, they're just ready to take that step. Because remember, what was the game late last year where Redmond came in there and got the game ball, and O'Connell said, man, every time I look out there, that guy's making a play.
Yeah.
But Ingram Dawkins,
for sure, he's
a
a
fifth-round pick. Yeah. But I do think, you know what, I think if in the next few years Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy are standing on that goofy Super Bowl stage and the confetti is falling, and the confetti is falling, and Jim Nantz has the mic, I honestly think that one of the most important sequences in Vikings history for that to happen would be the Lions game and the Rams game. And you know what's funny about those games? They were in some ways very much alike, but in some ways very different. Because you're right. I felt like in the Lions game, Darnold came unglued, and then O'Connell's like, but I can't run in the red zone, and sort of that exposes the interior of the offensive line as far as blocking.
Yeah.
The Rams game was a butt-kicking of a different kind where Darnold, I don't even know, I mean, he played a bad game, but he was also on his back.
Yeah.
Hold on, clear the way for the Packers fan here. Just hold on, clear the way.
And so I really think that if this team achieves where it wants to go, that those back-to-back games, because they hammered home a point, I don't know if O'Connell had completely digested before.
Yeah, it probably just made it more stark. I mean, they clearly had the idea all season, like, hey, we're still winning games, but it's probably not the way they want to draw it up. But you remember Kwesi's quote to kick off camp this year? He said, we have an idea of what this team can be when we put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's like, well, what is that idea? And he's like, that you have to win multiple ways in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They didn't have that last year.
No.
They had one way, and if you have mediocre, maybe even bad, but I don't know if bad, but let's say mediocre line play, you can win in the regular season. But when you're playing playoff teams, you're not going to get away with it. And the playoffs last year, I mean, it hammered home that point. If you didn't already know it, that football is won in the trenches. I mean, watch the entire playoffs. That dictated. I mean, Philadelphia, everything about it. So I'm sure they said, let's get to work. This is not going to work.
You know, I am not comparing J.J. McCarthy to Tom Brady with what I'm about to say, but I just want to highlight that the greatest quarterback of all time, early in his career, his team needed multiple ways to win playoff games and Super Bowls. So, like his first year, Brady actually the first year was kind of weird because there was the snow game against Oakland, and then he got hurt at Pittsburgh in the conference championship, and then started but the second year, so their first playoff win against the Titans, and Tom Brady goes 21 of 41, 4.5 yards per attempt in that game. Mm-hmm. But that defense was so good, they won 17-14. They ran the ball, right? And then the second playoff game, he plays a little bit better. The run game gets going, and they wipe out Indianapolis. But then in the Super Bowl against Carolina, multiple ways to win. Hey, Tommy, you're going to have to sling it.
Yeah.
He throws for 354 yards and 3 touchdowns as a young starting quarterback, and they beat the Panthers 32-29. So the Vikings last year only had one way to win, really, which was passing game is on point.
Yeah.
And defense is a way that they can win, too.
Sure.
But if you can add running game and win in the trenches, you're in business.
And that's where I'm fascinated to see how O'Connell handles this, because he didn't trust his running game because it wasn't effective enough. They went out and addressed it. They got bigger, they got stronger, they got meaner. They went and got Jordan Mason, who we're seeing a lot of in camp. I don't know if it's going to be 50-50, but it's not going to be,
it'll be close.
70-30. I mean, it's going to be But Kevin O'Connell's DNA, let's throw the ball downfield. Let's have that vertical passing game. How much does he adjust who he is?
Yeah.
To try to take some of that pressure off JJ and rely on his running game, because you have that capability now, I think. I mean, he's going to have to sort of recalibrate his whole philosophy too.
But don't you think also, I think the biggest thing is, yes, he has to rethink things for sure. I agree with you, Chip. But I think the biggest thing is where he absolutely has to change is in the red zone.
Sure.
Like that's the one is it can be fun between the 20s. It can be a lot of fun. But when you get in the red zone and the deep red, it's not fun. Like you got to go kick some butts. And Jordan Mason can take it too, guys. In fact, there was a play in the last training camp practice yesterday that I absolutely loved. So it was what they call a thud period, right?
Yeah.
Where like you get hit, but you don't get tackled. And it was a goal line play. And Jordan Mason actually went after the defender to take him on to create more contact.
He doesn't thud.
He's just
exactly.
magnet seeking contact.
And you look at that guy.
Well, you look at him, like his legs are like
well, and Aaron Jones' legs are like this.
They're built differently.
And Jordan Mason's tree trunk.
It's the first thing I noticed, like when you saw him first day, I was like, man, that guy has huge legs.
Yep.
And so he's definitely built to run between. And I think you look at the guys that they brought in here, you look at their offensive linemen, they just look different. I mean, Donovan Jackson is a big human being.
Oh, my God.
Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, they have nasty to them. They have some meanness to them.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
It's funny how sometimes there's so much information and things that you can look at in football, but the getting off the bus test means a lot. You know, it's like when you're in high school or whatever, and the opposing team gets off the bus, and you kind of know, we're probably going to get our asses kicked in this game here. And when Jordan Mason gets off the bus, and Will Fries gets off the bus, and Donovan Jackson gets off the bus and starts running up the field on a screen pass, like, okay, Vikings should have a better chance to win some of those battles. We do have, sadly,
Judd's Camp Notes.
the final Judd's Camp Notes. Whatever you've saved.
Got him right here.
Wait a
There
second.
it is.
You have a notebook?
Yeah, it's a notebook. Go buy one.
By the way,
Buy one.
I get nothing for him. Actually, you know what?
the merchandise stand
Actually,
right
you're my
over here.
friend. There you go.
We do have
Oh my
Judd's
gosh.
Camp Notes notebooks.
Yeah.
So
It's a pretty good
not
likeness, right?
You got to get the glasses going, but
the glasses going, and I don't know my facial hair. I don't know if I have that little facial hair thing, but I'm a little bit. It's fine.
I love this.
Yeah, it's good.
Can I have this?
Yeah, it's all yours.
Have you seen? There's also a Judd flag waving T-shirt in there.
I haven't seen.
We've
I
got
gotta go buy
the
it.
Judd on a stick.
That's the one
somewhere.
he waves that
This
flag, right?
this is Judd's flag from
That's
the
the
draft
flag.
party here.
Yeah. That is the flag.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't
People
get
are
more real
welcome
than that.
to take pictures of it. Don't get too close.
I love
that.
But yeah, camp
It's an
notes.
artifact.
Just go fling that
Well,
around
I will
the
say
event you're
this.
at.
It was so great. What day was I there when I came to get the ticket? Was that Monday?
Monday.
So
yeah,
practice was sort of getting close to the end, and all the reporters had shifted this way. And I look over in the distance, and there's just one solitary figure, and it's Judd taking his notes.
He's just over there.
I was charting J.J.
Judd taking his
McCarthy.
notes.
Camp note.
Glasses on the brim of the nose.
It was like,
just
we're all just standing there, just kind of talking, not really.
Charting J.J. McCarthy.
He's charting everything. Unbelievable.
Okay.
And this is going to be because yesterday was the final open practice session of the year. So just behind the curtain here, for those of you who've jumped on board with Judd's camp notes, once training camp is over, so reporters get full access to some OTA practices, mini camp, more OTAs, and then training camp. But once we get into like post preseason mode, the only access that you get is like for stretching periods
and individuals.
And then you got to peace out. So this is the final Judd's Camp Notes session until 2026 right here.
All right, let's talk about yesterday, which was the final practice of training camp. They obviously are off today, play Friday in Tennessee. And what we had yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, was a mock game. Now, the reason for this is to get J.J. McCarthy and Sam Howell a ton of work because they're not going to play tomorrow. My guess is Max Brosmer starts. Brett Rippon comes in maybe the second half because 2 days ago they were preparing them for this game, and Brosmer took 16 snaps in practice, which is unprecedented for a fourth quarterback.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get to what we saw. First of all, I have for you, this is an exclusive, unless you subscribe to the Substack. This is an exclusive.
In which case, this is not exclusive.
It's not
at all
exclusive, and I
whatsoever.
appreciate you subscribing. Judd Zolgad, Substack.com. I have J.J. McCarthy's final statistics in 11 on 11 and 7 on 7.
Oh, for the whole camp?
For the entire camp.
Oh my gosh. Football.
Judd's camp note.
I charted every single throw.
By the way, Kevin O'Connell is seething right now.
It drives
you
the
know
head
what?
coach crazy that Judd does. It's crazy.
But hold on a second. We had a little bit of a breakthrough. So last Thursday in the second joint practice, for which the Vikings had sort of game plan for the Patriots to get JJ some confidence, I believe it was our friend from Purple Insider, Matthew Collar, mentioned the fact that McCarthy had completed like 7 consecutive passes at one point. And I'm like, yeah, 4 touchdowns. And O'Connell goes, well, that type of thing I don't mind. So he
The
likes
good
it.
stats.
So he
The
doesn't,
good stats.
He doesn't
There you
mind
go.
the stats if they're the good stats.
Yeah.
In about 3 years, Judd's going to be doing all the calculations on QBR, yards
Yep.
per attempt,
Interceptions,
PFF
What was the
grade.
thing you said about the run game? Because Judd said, running game.
The running game doesn't count in your practices because it's dead upon arrival. The pass plays actually.
So what O'Connell say? Well, if you're not counting balls and strikes.
Yep. He called it balls and strikes. He called it balls and strikes, and then he talked about, that's a good point because I didn't see across the crawl. I think he was referring to ESPN. I didn't see across the crawl that Jordan Mason had that 16-yard run, which, by the way, he did.
Chipper, Jeremiah Searles from O-Line Committee, he'll be here in the house on Monday here. And he, without knowing that Judd does this, 2 weeks ago, he opens a rant on O-Line Committee, and he goes, I hate, and he had a visceral reaction when he said hate. I hate people who track training camp stats. He was like, you want to come on Purple Daily next week?
Yeah, Phil,
We got a guy for you. I know someone you may want to talk to.
And then we had a nice discussion about it. So
It was.
I'm
very
glad
nice.
you do it. This is a reporter. This is a
This is
reporter's
nice
reporter.
discussion.
So this is it. These are the full
right.
camp. Does this include preseason game?
No.
This is just the practices.
This is just practices.
Okay.
Preseason games on the stat sheet. You can do that yourself.
yeah.
Okay, here we go.
I'm giving you the inside information that only is available at TCO Performance Center and right here.
Wow.
Okay, so in 11 on 11, which is team drills, J.J. McCarthy yesterday, get this. So you talk about a workload, 28 of 38. So he took 56 snaps yesterday
the passes.
with all the stuff combined in this mock game. For training camp, 129 of 180. a 71.7 completion percentage.
Wait, what was it? 70?
71.7. So he has 129.
So he's flirting with Sam Bradford's Vikings record for completion percentage.
And some of these are easy completions, some of them aren't. But anyway, I tracked them all.
What was the drop rate?
Well,
let's get his adjusted
completion
percentage.
I don't have the drop rate. He had some passes dropped. He also had some passes on which he was probably sacked. I was trying to parse that apart.
Okay.
When the real officials were there, when the NFL officials come in,
would blow it.
They call sacks.
Yeah.
The other guys or high school guys or something, they don't.
They're
And I was
scared,
like, just blow the damn whistle.
Sometimes
already.
O'Connell does. He'll just say, sack.
Yeah.
But he's annoyed.
But if the officials do something, he gets annoyed by them and gets on them. All right, so 7-on-7, JJ, they didn't do it yesterday. So for camp, 7-on-7, 46 for 67, 68.9%.
Do you find it interesting that his 7-on-7 completion percentage is actually lower than the 11-on-11 full team when there's no pass rush? It's interesting.
I think the speed is different, and I think the type of throws he's probably trying are different.
Okay.
Because 11-on-11, there might be a lot of checkdowns, screens like that.
Yeah, I think the 7-on-7 is more
It's
of a
more down
passing
the field.
camp.
Yeah, it's more
And I think they're literally, I think those are very scripted.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, like the team drills are all scripted, but I'm not sure how scripted the actual plays are all the time.
Yeah.
Like I think you know if it's going to be a runner or pass. I don't know that the pass doesn't change at times though. So yeah, 71.7%.
This is incredible information, and we are happy. If there's nothing else statistically, that's fine. Did Judd's Camp Notes happen to get the touchdown to interception ratio for?
Okay, this is the problem. I could go back and find the picks. The touchdowns are much tougher because if a guy catches the ball at the 30 and then houses it, he's not being chased.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the guy just breaks off the route.
But you know what I could have done? I'll try this next year. I could do touchdowns in the red zone because those balls are all going into the end zone.
Yeah.
But 11-on-11, as far as like if it's a drill that starts at the offense's 40 and I complete a pass to Aaron Jones and he decides to score, it's not really fair.
Yeah.
The touchdowns the picks were probably a little bit more than you would like, but I wasn't overly concerned about it.
He's gonna. I mean, listen.
He's gonna struggle. At
He
times.
definitely. He has a propensity to sail one in every 8 passes. Right.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some where it's a little too high, straight over a receiver's head, safety picks it, or it's off of fingertips. He's gonna have 9 or 10 of those this year that are going to be kind of annoying, but it's just he's trying to dial things in as a young quarterback, right? So, wow.
And I can also not stress enough, and we saw it in a red zone drill yesterday, and this is what makes it so unfortunate that Jordan Addison's out of the first 3 games.
Yeah.
The chemistry between those two. So McCarthy made a difficult throw to the back corner of the end zone at one point in the red zone. I think it was from like the 15-yard line. And Addison went against Isaiah Rodgers, who's clearly a bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
He took the ball out of Rodgers' hands. It was a pick.
Yeah.
And Addison in real time stripped that ball away between him and Hawkinson. I am really curious because I think both of those guys are definitely guys that JJ has a ton of chemistry with.
That is the biggest disappointment because I would bet if you ask the coaches, Addison has had as good as camp as anybody on the team. I mean, his camp has been incredible. And we saw that in OTAs and minicamp too. You're like, man, he's really connected with Addison pretty quickly here. You saw it right away in camp, and then first preseason game, I think the first 3 passes goes to him. I mean, those two really are on the same page. So it's disappointing that that's going to be stopped here, right away for 3 games.
My training camp MVPs are Addison offensively and Jonathan Grenard defensively.
Yeah.
Both of them outstanding. In fact, Grenard had a tip at the line of a JJ pass yesterday. I keep talking about this. I feel like he's possessed.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a man possessed.
He's the one that came up with the slogan. Give more or whatever it's called, and he's
more is required.
More is required.
And he has walked it from day one. I mean, he has absolutely walked it from day one.
Yeah. Yeah, those. It does feel like Grenard was not acquired by the Vikings with at least fans and media thinking they were getting one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
No way. Yeah.
I don't know if they maybe saw that in him sometime. They've done that with a couple different players, like Van Ginkel. Clearly, if you put him back in the Flores system, elevates, right? Drafting Tyree and Ingram Dawkins, they saw something there where, let's take his athletic ability, and now he's like running with the ones, and Harrison Phillips is gone. But yeah, Grenard is legitimately. He had the 3rd most pressures of any defensive edge rusher in the league last year, behind Myles Garrett and Trey Hendrickson. He's literally in that company as a pass rusher in this system.
Yeah, and I don't know if they thought they were getting that, but I'm sure Brian Flores knows what when he wants a player and he knows that skill set, he's pretty confident that they're going to fit in his scheme. And it's interesting that he can just identify. Josh Metellus.
Very smart.
We thought he was a special teams guy, and he says, nope, I see a hybrid guy that can move all over.
It's crazy.
Bernard, Van Ginkel. I would say Cashman. Now, I don't know if they thought Cashman would be as good as he was last year, but he was, think about how valuable he was in his first year.
Yeah.
What do we think the football IQ of these players? I mean, that's what always hits me is they are doing things that is, Flores allows it and he likes it. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be lost.
Well, I don't think you can be dumb in his scheme. I mean, you don't think not say dumb, football dumb. And one of my favorite things is watch their defense before the snap. All the moving and pointing, talking, all these things they're doing is it looks like chaos. Like, are they going to be on the same page here in the next 2 seconds for the ball snap? And they make it work. I'm sure there's some times where they get the wrong call or whatever, but it is a dance to watch them, and I just think if you're in his scheme, you have to have a certain level of football IQ and adjustability and adaptability to be able to do different things.
Do you feel, Chipper, that even though we make so much about what's McCarthy going to do and all the weapons that are here, it's actually, especially early on, it feels like maybe the defense actually carries them more than it does like the offense, right? I know it's an offensive league, but
I think they're a top 5 defense, and they pride themselves on turnovers, so that's going to be a big part of it too. I just think they're good. I mean, I think they're, went into the camp worried about their corner depth. I don't really have that much as I did initially. I think some of these guys that we were waiting to kind of see.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen them a lot in a game yet. I mean, that obviously changes it. But to me, I thought that was the number one question going into camp. Do they have enough corners?
There was a concern because Okudah left practice yesterday with some type of foot problem, and I am a little bit concerned about their quality of depth there. I'm also, I mean, I guess you think it's going to work, but, Isaiah Rodgers has been given this job, and I'm pretty convinced that might be fine. Okudah, I'm really curious about.
He's had a good camp, though.
He has, but I mean, if you're asking me, am I completely comfortable? No. Do I sleep well every night? The answer is no. Do I think, the most important thing, and this is O'Connell as well, the most important thing, though, is these guys know what they're doing. Like, they've proven that. Until they prove they don't know what they're doing, it's very comforting to watch people who know how to operate.
And it's interesting because we always, they set the roster like final 53. Nah, not really. They're going to claim some guys off. Yeah. I'm curious to see what positions wide receiver, everybody's talking about that, obviously. Corner. There'll probably be 3 to 5 guys that they claim that get cut. And I'm just curious to kind of see what those positions are that they do.
Would you, right now, before watching the 3rd preseason game, if Max Brosmer somehow wound up as QB2, how comfortable would Chip Scoggins be with that?
And I've watched Max a lot, right?
Yeah.
Covering all the Gopher games, and I love Max and got to know him. He's such a smart quarterback. I mean, what he did in 1 year at the Gophers, his impact can't be overstated.
He's a Duke's Mayo Bowl champion.
He's a Duke's Mayo Bowl. I would be nervous. I think that's just asking a lot. I don't think the 2's on the roster.
I was going to say, if Sam Howell had to play, how would you feel?
Not good. Yeah, I don't think the 2's on the roster. I think Max will be the 3. I don't. As much as he's impressed them, and as much as they're really high on him, if he's one snap from being your starting guy, would you feel comfortable? It seems like a lot to ask of.
Yeah, there's levels to the roster evaluation, and Judd and I had to answer a question about this. I think it was on Feedback Friday episode last week where, you guys have been pumping up this guy, but like if those guys played in actual games for a play, no. There's a difference between hyping a guy, Brosmer, to be on the 53, and then you keep developing him, versus hyping a guy like Tyrone Ingram-Dawkins. No one's hyping him as a player that's better than like Jonathan Allen or Hargrave, right?
Yeah.
But the hype is, this guy can play a little bit as part of a rotation. So, yeah, I think to me the Brosmer hype train, and I am all aboard too, for all the reasons you said. There's leadership there, accuracy. He's clearly picking up the system quickly. There's a a quarterback. What did we say? The QBE, quarterback energy. About Max Brosmer.
He has some maturity about him. I mean,
but that hype for me stops at. Would love him as a QB3 on the roster. Break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah.
Go find a real QB2.
Let's have the Howell conversation here, though, because I think there's there's a common thread between the preseason games and practices, and this is where it makes me nervous. And the first preseason game, Sam Howell played. He looked pretty good. In fact, not you. There was a Star Tribune column that said Sam Howell looks fine. And in the second preseason game, he threw one of the most egregious dump picks I've seen, and there was a Star Tribune column, not wrong, that said they're in trouble if he has to play. And in practice, it's the same thing. Now, it's quicker in practice, but for every, okay, that's a good throw, he does something and it gets picked off. And that's where the thing with Brosmer is if he had to play in a game tomorrow, a regular season game, I think he's in over his head. But I don't think he sabotages himself. Howell has a sabotage gene, and that's what Nick Mullins had. By the way, I think Nick was a better quarterback. But that's what you can't do because to your guys' point, defensively, or to what Dak said, defensively, this team can win you games. But they can't win you games if you're giving them short fields because you made a stupid pass, which is what he did in that Patriots game.
Well, and that's his MO, right? The turnovers. And
right.
You can't have that. And it's just the indecisiveness. And there's a couple things that KO has said that kind of jumped out to me. One was said, he's a guy we need to see in a game. Well, to me, that reeked of we don't like what we see in practice, right? We say, they need to evaluate in game. And then he talked about how different this system is than anything he's ever played in.
Yeah, it's a lot to...
So it's a lot to absorb, a lot to learn, and I don't know the comfort level is there that you want with your backup that you could just say, okay, it's not ideal, but he can get us through it without having to, a lot of turnovers, a lot of putting us in bad situations. I don't know that they're there yet.
Well, with Tyson Badgett extended, do we bring home old man Case? Case Keenum's now QB3 in Chicago.
I don't think he knows the system, though. You almost have to, at this point, go get a guy that knows the McVay, O'Connell system. And again, so...
Well, wait, didn't they have Case Keenum in Washington? Didn't Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah, he might have.
Yeah, he did.
Well, then, I think he had
then
Case
he might know the
Keenum.
system.
Let's go.
Then he might know the system.
I'll verify it. So
I stand corrected. Thank you.
They,
he was
Washington. Case Keenum made 8 starts for Washington in 2019. Okay. His offensive coordinator was Kevin O'Connell.
Well, there you go. Then Declan's right. Then bring him home.
Declan might have nailed it here.
Case? How would we feel if Case was QB2 to McCarthy?
With Thielen.
We run back the 2017
but no
Vikings.
Diggs. Diggs is not coming back.
Yeah, it's Case has operated 100% in this system before. So
then, if you know the system,
it does potentially make some sense. Chip, we're going to do a random Viking of the week here shortly, and you're gonna be a first-time participant.
Oh,
yeah, it's going to be a 3-person battle.
Is it a game? Is it a game?
Yeah, but I just want are there any other Judd's Camp notes, or did we exhaust Judd's Camp notes?
Let me see here. Let me see if I have anything else.
I don't want to leave anything.
No, I know. I got papers. I've got computer files. See, this is the problem with being an old man. You get stuff all over the place. I almost said something besides
it's
stuff.
okay if there's...
No. I'm just got to look up the file again. I got to find the file. Here it is. Vikings notes for Thursday.
Okay.
Actually, I have Thursday there in respect to Thor Nystrom.
Yeah, to all who celebrate.
Exactly right. No, that's it.
Let's hear it for Judd's Camp
That's
Notes.
it.
2020.
Pour one out.
Pour one out. That's right.
Pour one out. Thank you very much. Don't forget Judd and stick.
Before we get to a random Viking of the week here, shout out to Northern Soda Company for supplying. I see some people walking around with some of the merch from the Score North and Purple Daily merch booth over here, and Northern Soda Company is supplying our merch bags at the fair. So grab a bag, courtesy of Northern Soda Company, when you visit the Score North merch stand. For the several thousand people that are watching right now on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, thank you guys for hanging out too. Click that like button and the subscribe button as we keep pushing our way toward about 60,000 subscribers is our next milestone here. So thank you all, whoever, if you're watching at home or ducking out from work here. Standard heating and air conditioning.
That's right.
Also powering. We're going to need some air conditioning out here at some point in the next week and a half.
It's muggy. They came out to my place. Look at this absolute relic of an air conditioning unit, and thank God Cameron was able to help me out there. He even gave me some pointers and tips to keep that air conditioning unit running smoothly throughout the summer. So if you haven't already, go schedule that AC tune-up. Plus, I know the end of the state fair typically means we're getting to fall mode, so make sure your HVACs are up to service. Tell them that Purple Daily sent you. Go to standardheating.com to find out more. Go to standardheating.com.
I'm just pulling my random Viking clues closer to the chest here.
I'll
trust either one of these guys here.
That's fine. I understand.
Shout out to North American Banking Company. So, you mentioned that Tyson Badgett just signed a new contract. So if maybe you're a football player and you're about to get paid for the first time, or you're just an average Joe like us, North American Banking Company, with their 6 metro locations, can help you out with a better banking experience. Minnesota-based since 1998. And whether it's something big like buying a new home, tackling a renovation, or setting up a new business, or you're just looking for a better experience with checking and savings, I love that North American Banking Company understands what life is like in the Twin Cities. They value personal connection, which there's been some times where it's like I've had the big not to be named national bank, and I just want to talk to a human and not press a bunch of numbers. North American Banking Company can give you that experience. nabankcode.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankcode.com/Mackey. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. All right. So it's time for a random Viking of the week here. And since we brought this back and rebooted it after 3 years of kind of exhausting, I don't know, like 160 random Vikings, we wiped the slate clean a few months ago. And in the new era, I have 8 wins. Judd has 6 wins. Declan has 1 win.
Yeah.
Judd is on a 3-game heater right now. Chris Carter, Stephon Diggs, Irv Smith Jr. And this will be Chip Scoggins' first time ever competing on the Random Viking of the Week. So I'm going to throw out clues. You guys each get up to 3 incorrect guesses. You can just shout out answers whenever you think you know. If one of you hits a third strike, you're out, and the other 2 will compete.
This is a big honor, by the way.
Okay.
This is a big day. Judd's camp notebook, and now
is unbelievable.
It's not even your birthday.
I can't believe
it's his birthday. It's not your birthday.
It is.
Yeah, happy birthday.
So are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we
Let me
go.
get my glasses on so I can write down my notes.
Sure.
Him and Judd are the same guy.
Those trifocals.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we weren't wearing these glasses back in the days on the beat
Look at
together.
this.
Yeah.
This is
Although
AccessVikings.com. Access Vikings.
Although I will say this. Chip is the only guy that I've ever met who will not drink a Corona with a lime.
No limes.
I like it with no lime.
No limes.
I mean, they market putting the lime in it even.
I know, but I don't
That's
like
the
all
chip
that.
way.
I don't like all that stuff on my
you
phone.
literally found a beer, the only beer that's like supposed to be with a lime. You're like, no lime. And the bartender
that
just
poor
looked at you.
bartender at Applebee's in
Mankato, she was a saint.
I know.
I miss the Applebee's in Mankato.
So do we.
I miss a lot of places.
I miss Mankato.
It's by the grace of God that the Star Tribune never wondered why our bill was.
Yeah.
Until now.
Oh, I got a few bills kicked back.
Yeah.
That's right.
The non-itemized receipt there is your friend.
When the newspaper business started to go a little south and sports dad still turned it in the ordinary event, I got questioned.
Oh, man. All right. Clue number 1. Again, shout out whenever you think you know the answer, okay? No Googling, but if you need help on, like, if there's been another, like, if Chip guesses a former random Viking, it won't count. Because these guys have that.
Well, he's got the list, too.
It's one of these guys?
No.
Oh.
Those are all all
okay.
been done, so it won't not be one of them.
Okay.
So this random Viking played for 4 different NFL teams. This random Viking started only 34 games in the National Football League.
Not a lot of starts.
Slappy.
Well, you say slappy, Judd, but this random Viking was a 4-time All-State football player and sprinter in high school.
Well, who wasn't?
You know, he's quite the athlete.
I mean, I tore it up at Benilde.
Hang on.
Did you?
Yeah.
With the typewriter, I did.
Yeah.
Still not in the Hall of Fame, though. Just saw the new list came out this week. You know what? Benilde still.
No sports dad.
It's got. You know why? Because I don't donate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, maybe you throw him a couple dollars.
That's what me and Nick Swardson keep saying about the Central Hall of Fame. We're just like, we don't donate
You don't
anything.
donate?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
They should be thanking me.
That's right.
Okay.
This random Viking of the week played college football in the MAC. He was a MACtion guy.
I feel like this leans Chip.
No.
Chip loves his college
I-
football.
Are you a Maction guy?
Well, no,
Tuesday
but
night Maction?
that threw me off who I thought it might be.
Started 30.
Doesn't help me
Fort-
one bit.
Hold on. Let me see. Because I got a Mac guy.
We have a buzzer on here for when someone inevitably. We
Four-
may not. It's
Yeah, we
fine.
do actually, right here.
So he started 34
so these,
games.
Oh, you can like load these. Okay, I
There
see.
you go. There you go.
Okay, I got to guess.
Okay, here we go.
Chester Taylor.
Ooh, Chester Taylor. Is correct. Oh,
Man.
Toledo.
whoa!
Toledo.
That is a wild pull.
Well, so he started 34 games because he didn't play here that long, and then he got supplanted by Adrian Peterson.
I was thinking
Wow.
Bernard Berrien,
Okay.
but the Mac threw because he was the West Coast guy.
Yeah, West
Yeah,
Coast.
yeah.
Fresno.
Yeah.
Fresno State.
Wow, that is
Very good.
wild. You didn't even
I
let me
mean-
get to the Motor City Bowl MVP clue.
He was playing against the Gophers. Opened a season, I believe, in Toledo. I don't know if you were on the beat at the time, but they opened the season in Toledo, and Chester Taylor was playing for him.
Yeah, this would have been during the Glenn Mason era.
Yep. And I think it was
Yeah.
right before he got drafted by the Ravens.
Yeah, wow.
Chester Taylor, I stand no shot in hell because Judd absolutely loved him some Chester Taylor.
What were the 4 teams?
So the 4 teams were Vikings, Ravens. Can you name the other 2?
Bears and Cardinals.
Bears and Cardinals.
Yeah, I didn't know
I'm a big
Cardinals.
Chester Taylor guy.
Yeah. Apparently so,
Yes.
dude.
He wasn't a big Judd guy, I'll say that.
I don't think he was a big media guy.
No, he pretty much hated me and the rest of the media.
You know how,
but
like-
I always appreciated him.
Like, I loved obscure players that have no business playing in the NFL, like the John David Booties and Drew Locks.
Yeah.
Judd loves Chester Taylor and Gus Frerotte. Like, people love Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Now, Chester Taylor, though, in fairness, he was a really good player.
He was a good player.
Yeah.
You know, Gus Frerotte, I just thought Gus was solid. I'm still upset that they didn't leave Gus as the starter.
Yes.
In 2008, right?
And for
Yep.
10 more years after that, quite frankly.
Well, I mean, Tavares Jackson goes and plays the Cardinals, and he plays well because the Cardinals had just clinched their first playoff berth since 1974, and they were smoking weed all week.
That's true.
I mean, it meant nothing.
I heard old Gus, Gus liked to, pop a gummy once in a while.
Well, no, but I'm saying then Gus lost his job because of that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
And that's a game Berrien had Chipper, an 80-yard touchdown?
big one, yeah.
Huge touchdown.
There's 2 other clues I was going to give you. I was hoping to get to some of these, but Judd is just on a heater right now. He caught touchdown passes from Gus Frerotte, Tavares Jackson, Brett Favre.
I would've got that,
And then
yeah.
then hopefully you were going to go down the wide receiver path or something. But
Yeah.
but this is my favorite one. Chester Taylor averaged more yards rushing per attempt than several Hall of Fame running backs. He averaged more yards per attempt than Edgerrin James and Marcus Allen for sure.
How many was he? 1 year or 2 years with Adrian?
2 years.
Right? Was it 3
08.
years? Or was it
Yeah,
10?
3.
Oh, no, 10 was
10 was
Toby
gone, right?
Gerhart.
Yeah, he was 10 to go.
07,
Yeah.
08, 09.
Yeah.
06. No, it was 3 years with Adrian. Because it was 06, he was the starter.
And then Adrian.
1,200 yards. And then
7.
Adrian, 7, 8, 9.
They split it. Yeah, that's right.
Well, and Childress got so mad because in 07 they didn't start Peterson initially, which was sort of weird.
Yeah.
But every week we were like, when are you going to make the change? When are you going to make the change? And in Childress' defense, Chester Taylor was a better all-around player.
Well, he could catch, he could block.
Yeah, he could block.
He was on that 09?
Yeah.
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 Gosh, I just don't remember.
You don't remember that in the
I don't
Superdome when you told me that they're going
I do
to
remember
the
that.
Super Bowl, and I told you, just wait.
Didn't you guys also, like, chase down T.J.
That
Hushmanzada when
was
he was
Chip.
on
that
a
was-
free agent visit?
That was Chip.
That was Chip. Okay.
Driving irresponsibly fast.
We were live blogging it. We had
Yep.
the police chase going. I was chasing the limousine down 394 to get downtown. I had Judd on the phone. I was ducking down because Mark Wilf was in the car and they were looking right next to me. And
So you
T.J.
guys were
Hushmanzada.
like, because
This is how they bat. This is how desperate they were for a wide receiver.
Yep.
You remember at Winter Park when you pull out, you could go right, you could go left.
Yep.
Judd and I had them flanked. If they came this way, I had them. If they went that way, so they came my way. Judd went back in. He's live blogging. Judd said, "For security reasons, we can't tell you what hotels."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because you were staying at the Hilton downtown,
Yeah.
right by Brits.
So you
yeah.
guys, this is like 08, kind of 09,
08,
yep.
early days of blogging.
Yeah.
Live block.
When you guys are you're like sending these in via your phone as you're driving, or how
I
are
was
you live
I was
blogging?
driving.
I was at my computer.
I was following the car. Judd was back in the. So I was on the phone and he was live blogging. It's like, okay, they're getting out 394. Okay, now they're downtown and they're here. We were like minute by minute. T.J. Hushman's out.
That was such a great. I mean, it was before its time in so many ways too. You guys are just like,
Yeah, man.
Because
you're
we
like
had flip phones.
refreshing that page.
Right?
It was.
Flip phones at that time.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there
before the iPhone.
in the lobby with my computer, and Chip was telling me, and I would just I think I was timestamping it. And, but he was.
People were literally following around, thought it was following along, thought it was the greatest.
Did you see Brad Childress was at joint practice last week?
What?
Brad Childress was with a couple grandkids up kind of by the VIP.
Joe Mauer. Phil saw everyone. I didn't see anybody.
Dude, I was up there just kind of roaming around. Brad Childress, just kind of off. No one recognized him. Sunglasses, gray beard. Just apparently he has family in the western suburbs. Joe Mauer with his kids. And then our guy Alex Boone. And I'll tell you, only one of those was being asked for autographs.
That's right.
It was Booney. Old Booney.
Chili. Well, I still occasionally text with Childress. I forget how many years ago it was. I got a Facebook request from Brad Childress. I'm like, there's no way possible. This is Brad Childress.
Yeah?
I was like, So I text him. I was like, weird question here. Did you just request me on Facebook? He's like, yeah, how you doing?
That's funny because
what kind of photos?
I still have not heard from him.
Yeah, weird, Judd.
Is it just like Brad Childress living normal everyday life?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he lives in Florida now, but his
But is that what his photos are like on Facebook, like anybody else?
I don't
Brad
think he's
Childress
on
on a boat with a fish?
I think he's still got the house here too, right? He's got one in
I think
Florida.
his daughter
and,
lives in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's out west.
Yeah.
Or out in the western suburbs.
You know, he was kind of a caricature at times, and obviously the end was a disaster, but he knew offense, and they did go to the NFC Championship game, and there were times where he was actually, he was a fun character and enjoyable, and he just gets a bad rap because of
how it ended.
Yeah.
As Longwell always said, though, he was a much better GM than a coach.
He was a really good GM.
He had a great roster construction.
Yeah. I mean, that 09 roster, I still talk about it is a shame.
Is that how he texts? So mean.
I'm not piling on. I mean, it's bad enough.
I like Childress.
We need to get a Childress Judd reunion at some point on Purple Daily, I feel like.
You should. He would do it.
Yeah.
He's happy to do interviews.
Okay.
You hear that,
Judd?
The last time I heard from him on
Yeah.
a text, he said, "Are you delusional if you think I'll talk to you?"
But that was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Are you delusional?
Are you
Mean thing
delusional?
to say to someone.
Are you delusional? And then, of course, he went to the Pioneer Press and talked it. But he'd been fired, so it didn't really move the needle.
Are
much.
you delusional?
Are you delusional?
Time heals
Yes.
wounds. Time heals.
And the answer was yes.
Yes.
But no, he built a heck of a club, starting with 2006.
Yeah.
That first free agent class is one of the better Vikings free agent classes.
Yeah.
Not the best, because that was last year.
Hey, Chip Scoggins, everyone.
Chipper.
From the Star Tribune,
Thank you.
Thanks for
Purple
coming.
Thanks for having
Access
me
on
on
the
your voice.
Purple Daily feed. And, that's a wrap on day one for Score North, back at the Minnesota State Fair for the first time in 6 years. Appreciate everyone who stopped by. Everyone, the walleye on a stick was very clutch today for lunch here today. Pronto Pup sponsoring Judd on a stick. And, Minnesota Rusco, too, helping with this glorious podcast stage. So for the Sports Dad Judd, for Phil, for Dex, we'll be back tomorrow, Mackie and Judd from noon to 1, streaming live on the Score North YouTube channel. And then 1 to 3 o'clock, more Purple Daily live at the Minnesota State Fair. Also, scorenorth.com/fair for a full schedule and details on where you can find us here. So thank you, everyone. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See you.
Woo!